Hey everybody, it's Dave here, and we're waiting on Flip and Eric to join us. I know it's not quite halftime, but it will be momentarily. So you get to talk to me. How about that? And see me in sort of stereo. Isn't that cool? I know. I wouldn't think so either, but hey, that's the way it is. Okay, let me find. I just had it. The struggles of being a producer. Yep, that's right. I just had to get the tweet that's going to go out, and I just had it, and I lost it. Sort of like being old and having that memory go, where'd I set the keys? You know. So, as we're waiting on Flip, and where are they? Boom, 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 boom. Yes, you don't want to hear me singing. Hey, we're rooting for Dallas on this one. Are we not? Does that not do better for the Vikings if we root for Dallas? I hope so. I do hope so. And there we go. I'm seeing somebody. Hey, Clifford, how are you doing, buddy? Let's get this tweet ready. Boom. And there's Mr. Eric Thompson. Hey, we're live, buddy. So, if anybody you want to tell anybody anything before we start asking questions and still waiting on Flip. What is up with Flip?
Okay.
How you doing?
He did just ask.
I know he did just ask. He's ready. Hey, Mary Skoll. Hey, David Rinaldi. I love the name. Yes, and there's the Flip Meister. He has finally joined us. And of course, I got to move that piece of junk. Don't need Eric twice. Hey, Eric, you never look better. All right, there we go with Flip. Flip, let's do a sound check, buddy. We are live, by the way.
Oh, what's up, y'all?
Jumping right into
the intro.
No, we haven't done it yet. It's just I wanted to go live because we'd gone past the normal go live point, and I wanted to not kick it off of Facebook, so I went live. Obviously, Facebook's picked it up because we already got David Rinaldi join us. Are you ready for the intro or what?
I'm ready for the intro. Let's hit the intro.
Let's go a Viking on Viking Hot Takes.
Good work, Daniel.
Viking Hot Takes. Welcome to Week 13. The Minnesota Vikings at the Detroit Lions. Minnesota is back under 500. They have more losses than wins. And now they're going against a team that doesn't have any wins. So what could possibly go wrong?
Of
Buckle up.
course.
Let's go. Eric, how you doing, man?
Flip, we're back. We had a couple weeks off for various things. A pretty important life event on your side. I got to say congrats, by the way. I don't know
Thank
if you want to
you.
share with the
Thank
entire
you.
crowd here, but
Hey,
Flip he's on his way to having a permanent +1, so congrats there. That's fun. So wait, did you do that
yes.
in the San Francisco area last weekend? Did you pop the question there?
I did it in San Jose on
Okay.
Friday. I was literally like 10 minutes from where the Vikings were playing 2 days later. So I thought I would bring some Minnesota joy to the area if our Vikings couldn't. So hey,
Well,
yeah.
at least you have something that a bright spot of last weekend. So that's good. Congrats. So, but you know the deal. We got 20 minutes to talk during this kind of thrilling Thursday night game that's on here in the background. The Cowboys are, I guess, doing us a favor and beating the Saints right now, but only by 6. So let's talk about
Yeah.
all things Vikings on tonight's episode.
Let's get to it. That game will not be decided in the third quarter, I promise y'all. So stay tuned for Viking Hot
Right.
Takes. Dave, we're on the clock already. Eric, how many good players do the Minnesota Vikings have on the team right now?
I like this question because I think I kind of know what you're hinting at here, but like currently available, right? Like available to play this
Yeah.
Sunday, because
Mm-hmm.
that changes the yeah.
Yeah.
Like I mean, they still have quite a few. I mean, I think Cousins, for all his imperfections, is still a good player. I think Brian O'Neill is very good. I think Justin Jefferson is not only good. I think he's a top 3 wide receiver. I think Adam Thielen is still in the upper tier of wide receivers. I think Eric Kendricks is still one of the best linebackers in the league. I think Harrison Smith is still a very good safety. I think Michael Pierce might be back this week, and he's very good when he is actually on the field. So, and I get it, like even with some huge players like Daniel Hunter, there's lots of talent on both sides of the ball. But I think what you're alluding to here is with this many good players on the Vikings roster, it's still available. Still, some aren't available, like Patrick Peterson probably won't be. How the hell are they still 5-6? Is that kind of what you're hinting at here? I think that's where you were kind of leading with this question, or am I completely off?
Yeah. I was more thinking about the depth here and just how we knew that the Vikings were not going to be deep going into this year. If you're in the comments, I'd like you to count. Eric just named 8, but Eric, continue with your thought because I think that's also a good point.
Yeah, I mean that's the depth is that was the one of the things I think I joked on one of our first shows of the season. I think the Vikings have one of the better rosters in the NFL as long as no one misses any time for any reason, and that has
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
not been the case. As it is, it's never the case for any NFL team. Of course, that was it was kind of said tongue in cheek, but they're missing a lot of time from a lot of crucial players, and I think it's kind of caught up with them. The margin for error with this team going into the season was pretty slim because it was a real stars and scrubs kind of roster, and there just haven't been enough of the role players that have really stepped up. And the stars, I mean, when they're available, it hasn't been that great. But again, they're 5-6. They could be a lot better. They're a couple plays here and there, but I think that's kind of a microcosm. Okay, the comments are doing great, but yeah, like I don't think I can give you an exact count off the top of my head here, but I think there's though how many good coaches do we have? That's that might be a more pertinent comment for a lot of people these days. But yeah, like I think there's definitely enough still to be competitive, and in this NFC race, they're going to be competitive whether they like it or not, unless they really tank here down the stretch. So, um, yeah, that's. I mean, did you go through the roster and count like what you consider good players?
Yeah, I got to 7. I think you got to 8. I think the question I have though is I'm not so sure how many good players we have because like GMAC said, the coaches will not let us see them. You talk about Kane Wangu, who has just electrified on half of his touches. Why not see more of that guy? Maybe he's good. You talk about a KJ Osborne who had 30 targets in the first half of this year. The last 5 games, that's been cut in half. I think he has like 11 targets or something like that in his combined over his last 5 games. You talk about Cameron Bynum, who flashed when he came in and subbed in for Harrison Smith, and now he's right just back to the bench. So
Right.
for me, it's kind of like, stop acting like you're a Super Bowl contender. Yes, you're a playoff contender. Definitely not a Super Bowl contender, though. So maybe let's find out how many good players we have, because I think it's more than just the top level guys. Let's get to the next
Yep.
question.
Okay, my first question for you, before we move on to the Detroit game, what was the most disappointing part of that loss to the 49ers?
The referees? No, I'm not gonna go there.
You
I'm
were my
gonna
favorite.
say, and this is down the fairway though. The offensive collapse in the second half. I mean, how many times have we seen this where the offense scores 1 touchdown on 4 drives in the second half? I'm not counting Kane's kick return, okay, but the
That's
other
special
four
teams. That's
drives,
not offensive.
interception, fumble, turnover on downs, turnover downs. They're just not clutch. You're down by 1 score, make the drive, you're in the red zone, make the play to take the lead, and they just can't do it consistently.
Yeah, I mean, you could always point to Cousins lining up under the guard on the crucial fourth down and having to call a timeout. Of course, that's a kind of a big one.
Yeah.
The run defense getting absolutely gashed again, and the defense on the whole not forcing really. That I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo really wasn't forced to do anything outside of what most high-level high school quarterbacks couldn't do. Like that was really
Yeah.
frustrating. Dalvin Cook getting
Mm-hmm.
injured yet again. That's obviously a bad part, especially going forward because he's going to be out at least a couple games. But I think personally for me, like you touched on a lot of this too. Like the most disappointing part is that none of it really surprised me. We have been
Yeah.
here
Mm-hmm.
so much during the season. If it's this season has just been a constant game of whack-a-mole with the problems. It's like, all right, the defense is kind of stepping it up. They made a stop. Time for the offense to crap the bed. Or okay, the offense is finally putting together some drives. Time for the defense to allow a 13 play 8-minute drive. They just cannot put together 60 full minutes of football. They're capable of it. They
No.
have the pieces, they have the players, and they have kind of the game plan, but they just haven't been able to do it. And that's why they're sitting here at 5-6, currently on the outside looking in of a pretty weak NFC North or NFC playoff race. And, just letting Green Bay basically run away and hide with the NFC North title with a month and a half left to play. So it's just the fact that it wasn't that surprising.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't, disagree with anything there. The fans in the comments, they're talking about the run defense, the
Hmm.
mindset, the coaching and the time management. It's all there, and it all just leads to really depressing football to watch once you get down into that fourth quarter. Next question, Eric. It's kind of, we're past Thanksgiving, so it's the end game now. I'm going to jump a little far ahead, though. What position would you spend a first round pick on for the Vikings?
Well, I mean, I am not a draft guru by any means. There are plenty of resources that you should definitely talk to before I do, and I know I haven't done a ton of research on the current draft class but I know that the quarterback class is pretty bad. I don't think the Vikings will be in the market
Mhm.
for an early round quarterback, and I know there are a few stud edge rushers that will probably be gone by the time the Vikings pick because they're going to finish somewhere between 7-10 and 9-8, and all the run of really super elite players are probably going to be gone. But um, I mean, the funny thing is, like, I hate to say, what position you'd spend a first round pick on because I am definitely in more of the best player available camp. I think that if you take the best football player that's going to help your team, kind of regardless of position. But if you have prospects that are really close, you can absolutely let the more impactful position be the tiebreaker. Flip it. We're loving the comments today. It's an active bunch. I swear that after losses, the crew in the comments it's better every single week. But
Hey,
long story short, I think take whatever is going to make the biggest impact. Positions in need. It's funny. Like cornerback, they're going to need another corner or two. This is like the 6th straight year we've said that. They could probably use another linebacker or two. They could probably use another edge rusher or two because, sadly, for a lot of different reasons, I don't think Everson Griffin will probably be back on there, and don't have a lot of proven commodities there yet, and they've been kind of playing that position pretty piecemeal. So I mean, the positions that kind of jump out at you are somehow still on the defensive side of the ball, even though that's what it seems to be. Do you have specific, and I mean, and a lot of these, the 1-year deals that they have are, like, especially in the interior line, the defensive tackle. I think if everyone's healthy, the defensive tackle position is really good. But next year, there's not a lot on the books. So what positions do you have?
yeah, it's amazing that there's just going to be so many holes when you look at the 2022 roster with all the free agents rolling off. But I got to call an audible here because Daniel has asked us, do you think if we played the Lions 17 times, we would still end up 9-8?
That should have been one of our questions. Well done, Daniel.
Which I got to say, Daniel, you got to remember that Kirk Cousins is 7-0 against the Detroit Lions. So,
Oh, you jinxed
I
it now.
mean,
Oh, we're totally losing.
throwing it out there. I don't know. Maybe there's not a bad position to pick in the first round, but I will say that the NFL is flat right now. You talk about 7-10 or 9-8. The Vikings are a half game out of the playoffs right now. They're also a half game out of a top 10 draft pick too. So
Right.
there is no margin of error. We do have to win this Detroit game if we want any type to avoid any type of disastrous situation. So
All right. So my next question, we're going to look forward a little bit here, finally, to the thrilling game between the Vikings and the Lions. National news everywhere, I'm sure. But anyways, what player do you want to see more of on Sunday against the Lions? I think we've already touched on one.
Eric, I last month I asked you, when do we get to see Wyatt Davis? And you told me that you were a big believer in continuity along the offensive line. You said, never say it can't get any worse. Eric, it cannot get any
Oh,
worse. They're 26 in run blocking and adjusted line yards. They can't run block. They can't pass block worth a damn. Oli Udo has drawn 10 holding penalties, which is Dakota Dozier level bad. I mean, Rashad Hill was terrible. He got benched. Vikings fans have these nightmares about Drew Samia. And I'm like, why? I loved what they did with Drew Samia. Was he great? No, but they put him in. He sucked for 4 games. They took him back out. It is not that complicated. We found out that Drew Samia sucked by mid-October. And now here we are in December, and we still have no clue what Wyatt Davis is. If he sucks, fine. You have a bunch of teach tape for 2022. Wyatt Davis is not going to be the reason they miss the playoffs. So put the guy in.
yeah. If the one caveat there is he's been struggling with some sort of health issue, like with I'm like, I don't even know what the injury was. I think ankle injury, but if he's healthy, by all means, give him a shot
Yeah,
here.
you gotta put
I'm again, I will never ever say it can't get any worse because it always can with the Vikings. It can always, not just with the offensive line, in any facet with this team. It can always get worse somehow. But yeah, I'm with you. You can't spell holding without OLI. That's been the joke I've gone to the last couple of weeks because that's seriously that's basically all he does. And if you look at the PFF grades from last week, I mean, Ezra Cleveland in the 90s. I think he was the highest rated player in the NFL last week. So the left guard's doing great. Darrisaw was good until he went down against Bosa. Hill, again, if you can give me like 20 snaps of Rashad Hill he's awesome. He's like he's a great
Yeah.
backup tackle, not a good starter. Anyways, he definitely wasn't the problem. And I think they kind of found a guy in Mason Cole. He's been pretty good at center, and Brian O'Neill's Mr. Reliable. But Oli Udo, I think like everyone was in the 90s, 70s, and then Udo had the 30 rating, and I think a 10 pass block rating. And you could tell
Yeah.
like the 49ers are just starting to target Udo up the middle. Either he'd hold or allow a quick pressure. So yeah, I'm in. If Davis is ready, but by all means, let him go. Another guy I think we're gonna finally see more of is the aforementioned Kane Wangu. Just
Mhm.
by default, I think with Cook being out, Madison is. I think we've seen what he is. He's Cook light. He can do 80% of the stuff that Cook does, just without the explosiveness. It drives me bonkers that he leaves so many yards on the field. Yeah, he's good for a hurdle or a big broken tackle or two, but pick the right hole. Then you don't have to do those crazy hurdles and broken tackles. Like you can get the 4 yards before making contact. And I'd like to see KJ Osborne back in the mix a little bit too. Like
Yeah.
I thought he had a couple of
Yeah.
really good weeks there, and he had a couple of targets. He watched sail over his head like that last week, thanks to Kirk's random inaccuracy. He has to have a couple of those games a week, or a couple of those games a season. So those two, like the role players, the bit players on offense, I think they're going to need some variety. It can't just be all Jefferson and Thielen. So hopefully we'll see a little
Mhm.
bit of that going forward on Sunday.
Agreed. All right. Eric, are the 2021 Lions as bad as the 2008 Lions?
I wish they were, because I'd feel a lot more confident about Sunday's game. I mean, but both the eye test and most of the statistics, yes, the win column still matches 0-0 so far. That's a bummer. But like
Mhm.
the 2008 Lions were pretty historically bad. I mean, especially on
Yeah.
the defensive side of the
Yeah.
ball. Like I went back and looked up the stats after you sent this question. And it's like they were like 32nd, not like in almost every defensive stat, and they were 32nd in DVOA and 32nd in overall PFF grade. And the current Lions are 31st in both of those. They're actually a little better in DVO than the Falcons, and they're a little better in overall PFF grade than the Texans. So they got that going for them. And if you just go by point differential and everything else like that, the Lions, by the Pythagorean scoring, they should already have 2.5 wins according to that, and that's what the final win total was for the 2008 Lions, just based on score differential. So that again, if you go by overall talent, maybe though, that might be a little closer story, because this current Lions team, as they're built, they are very young and they're very beat up. But I think as an overall football team, Dan Campbell has this
Yeah.
current iteration of the Lions playing a lot better. It's sad for Lions fans that they have to compare one of the worst teams in NFL history to their current team. But again, like I had a Q&A with Pride of Detroit today, and the attitude
Mhm.
around this team, the 2008 was the end of an era. That was the end of a terrible era. This is the beginning. Yes, they want to get one in the win column, and they're going to give the Vikings probably everything they can handle, just like their Week 5 battle. So if the Vikings aren't on, they could definitely sneak up and steal one from the Vikings. But again, I think that it's pretty clear for me that the '08 Lions were quite a bit worse.
Yeah, I agree. And it's kind of a tongue in cheek question just to
Right.
lighten the mood because Vikings fans are terrified of this game right now. I mean,
Who can
we're
blame us?
angry that that Minnesota is 4-6 in one score games. Detroit is 0-5-1 this year in one score games. That's crazy bad luck. And so it's not that hard to see. So let me paint the entire scenario. Um I'm nervous. You're nervous. I feel like maybe we shouldn't be nervous, but I can't I can't not be nervous about that. No, the Lions don't do anything that well, but they do have a solid run game, and the Vikings have not been able to stop the run. Maybe Michael Pierce helps that, but we're dead last right now in stopping the run. Their wide receivers, Detroit's wide receivers aren't that good, but they're fast. And speed kills our secondary right now with Patrick Peterson still on the COVID list. On defense, Detroit, again, not good. The Vikings should be able to pass on them all day. But we know our coach, he's not the most aggressive coach in the NFL. Let's just say that. So here comes 25 carries for your boy Alex Madison. That is what people are dreaming in their heads right now. That's the picture. I hope that's not what we see on Sunday, but it sounds way too realistic, and that's terrifying.
Well, yeah, and the Vikings fans are nervous until proven otherwise. They played almost to their exact level of their opponents every single week, so why not? I mean, you saw the Week 5 game. They probably should have lost that game. But we got 90 seconds left. I got one more question to ask
All right.
to sneak in.
All
And
right.
speaking of sneaking in, this is another theoretical question here. Would sneaking into the playoffs and losing in the first round be better or worse than just missing them altogether and probably the repercussions of that?
I want to see what the comments say here. I am not a draft position guy. I'm not a tank guy for many reasons, but this specific situations, I mean, the Vikings are just really injured right now. So there's no way they sneak into the playoffs unless they get some real contributions from all the young guys that we talked about earlier on the show. That's the theme of this show. Is the KJ Osborne, the Wyatt Davis, the Cam Bynum, the Kene Wangu. Those are the guys that would actually have to do something for us to get to the playoffs. So I'm okay with seeing that. You know, players who are going to be here for a few years, I'm okay with seeing them on the field actually putting together winning football, because that winning culture and that experience, even if it's in a playoff loss, I think that's more valuable than a few draft spots.
Yeah, and I was maybe even hinting a little bit at, if they win the playoff game and just lose that, maybe Zimmer holds on to his job, and if they don't make the playoffs, they lose. That's a whole different ball of wax. But we only have 10 seconds left. I'm in for the playoffs. It just hurt me one more time. Let's make it 18 crazy roller coaster rides this season. Why not?
Yeah, I love it. I love it, Eric. What's your score prediction?
I think it's going to be uncomfortably close again, but I can't, even as depleted as the Vikings are. The Lions are bad, and they know they're bad. They're still rebuilding. They still have Jared Goff throwing to a bunch of no-name wide receivers. I'll say 23-17 Vikings. So the Lions beat the spread again, but the Vikings win.
Okay, I will say 31 Vikings, 14 Lions. Easy game that doesn't really tell us anything about our favorite football team.
I would good. Like, even if it's a blowout the other way, I want a week off. I do not want to lose another 4 years off of my life expectancy. Yes, please just cruise to a victory, even though it's against a winless team.
Yeah.
That will just tell me, like, I can sit down and enjoy a football game. I want to do that once.
Yeah.
Because the one 2-score game I was at, so that was all, that was the home opener. That was wild. So yeah, just to sit on my couch and enjoy 3 hours of a football game. Like, good, the Vikings won. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, it would be. And so we're hoping for that. Until next time, thanks for joining us, y'all. Great work in the comments. We've got the liveliest group on the internet. And we'll see you next time. Skol Vikes.
Thank you for watching or listening. As always, if you like, subscribe,
it's good to be back here.
ring the bell for notifications.
Absolutely. Oh, the comments were on fire today. See, I swear, after a loss,
after a loss.